Almost no one seems to be discussing a secret danger that might erase those gains. Even yet, every XRP investor I know is eagerly anticipating the next bull run. I have recently come across a legal trap that, if we do not act quickly, might ruin everything for you and me. It was always my belief that everything would be okay as long as I hoarded my cryptocurrency and patiently awaited the moon. Actually, though, I was ignoring a huge detail. Plus, I'll admit that the news hit me like a punch in the stomach. The tale I'm about to tell you might be the most consequential one I've ever shared on this channel, so bear with me as I spill the beans. I was casually perusing cryptocurrency headlines while enjoying my morning tea. I prefer tea, you know. I happened upon the headline by accident. According to the expert, this is going to be crucial for all XRP holders to grasp very soon. Of course, I got it. We were informed about Jake Claver, a crypto wealth advisor who is causing some concern for individuals like us. I was struck over the head by his warning. The general public may be unwittingly exposing themselves to potential legal and financial calamities if they retain their XRP in the manner that the majority of us do. The decision by the IRS to recognize cryptocurrency as property was made in 2014, he said. This is going to seem really dull, but bear with me. See, when cryptocurrency is recognized as property by the government, it implies that our XRP is subject to the same legal frameworks as other assets, including as houses, stocks, and real estate. Trusts, limited liability companies, and estate plans, the same tools that the wealthy employ to safeguard their homes and their portfolios, were theoretically available to us as a result. The most absurd aspect is that the vast majority of ordinary investors were completely unaware of this. Surely I did not. Then the truly enlightening part arrived. Cryptocurrency stored in an individual wallet is extremely susceptible to seizure in the event of a lawsuit, as Claver pointed out. Whatever the case may be, a lawsuit over an automobile accident, a botched business deal, or something else entirely, a judge has the legal right to request that you surrender your private key. That one required me to read it twice, didn't it? They have the power to confiscate your cryptocurrency. Now, if you attempt to be cunning and conceal it, the court has the power to punish you in contempt or even send you to jail. As far as I'm concerned, it's not your keys or your money, is it? In a way, it was the Supreme Security slogan. It turns out that a court order can still force the taking of your keys. Just picture yourself in a little collision and the other party's lawyer discovered your XRP assets and promptly confiscated them. Totally insane. Additionally, it opened my eyes to the fact that I've been overly pessimistic about crypto security. Hackers and hardware wallets aren't the only topics anymore. Evidently, it's also concerning the legal system and judges. Now I'm asking myself, how can I avoid becoming that horror story? And this is where the whole crypto as property argument turns into an opportunity. After all, if it is property, then we can treat it as such. Then you should consider how the rich handle a valuable possession, correct? Leaving $1 million worth of property vulnerable in their own names is not something they do. They establish a trust or a limited liability company, LLC, to safeguard it, choose its future owner, and handle all the boring but necessary paperwork. I sit here with my ledger thinking I'm safe, but really quite vulnerable. To paraphrase Claver, many of us treat crypto like a lottery ticket, meaning that we buy it, cross our fingers, and hope for the best. Admit guilt as stated, but the professionals handle it like a company or a piece of real estate, doesn't it? Organized, protected, insured, and almost sold. That statement has stayed with me here for some reason. Therefore, I began researching the practical steps I could take to begin handling my XRP more similarly to the second option. Estate planning comes first. Listen, I am fully aware, am I not? Though no one liked contemplating such morbid matters, bear with me since this section is truly rather remarkable, isn't it? Have you ever heard of a setup and step-up basis? It wasn't until recently that I made the connection between the phrase and cryptocurrency, though I do remember it from my finance lectures. The transfer of wealth from an individual to their heirs is essentially a tax benefit. This is, of course, American speech in English in a British context. The UK has fallen, as the saying goes, but they still want to tax your inheritance at 100%. Assume, for the sake of argument, that you are in the United States and that you own a complete metric ton of XRP valued at 50 cents. Uncle Sam would like a piece of the profit if you were to sell it at $100 after loading it up to its maximum potential value of 50 cents, wouldn't you? However, if you keep it until your death and pass it on to your children, The tax basis will increase to reflect its worth when it is inherited. In other words, during the 50 cents to $100 increase, your children may sell those XRP for $100 and not have to pay capital gains tax. Seems crazy, doesn't it? And now, isn't that all a benefit? Not taxed, but poof. I am grateful for this type of step-up rule. Great. So this is relevant to the United States. Just a heads up, if you're in the UK, they want to tax capital or inheritance tax at 100%, treating it like a capital gain. That basically means that my kids would have to pay the full market value of my cryptocurrency if I were to leave it to them after my death. Sound insane. So the UK isn't exactly a kingdom anymore. To all appearances, the United States is ahead of the curve. So here's hoping that someone takes action in the UK to remove that government. Regardless, the fact that the United States is somewhat more progressive is mind-boggling, isn't it? This is the last present you'll ever give your loved ones, isn't it? Apart from that, it's just XRP, really. By the way, I had no clue this existed in the crypto world until I learned about that property classification. After that, I became aware of the exemptions from estate taxes. Apparently, at the present time, Americans can leave their heirs roughly $13 million in assets, or twice that for couples, free of taxes. Obviously, not everyone has 13 million XRP laying around. If you do, then we can be buddies. With proper planning, however, that threshold ensures that nearly all individuals, if not all, will not be subject to estate tax. While the regulations are still liberal, there is a catch. You might have to fill out some paperwork to use trust or giving schemes. I'll let the accountant handle the details around completing Form 709 for substantial contributions. Here we have the crux of the matter. Crypto should be treated as the asset of generations, right? Plus, there are some nice legal protections in place to ensure that the government doesn't eat all of your hard-earned wealth. When it comes to crypto, Claver suggested a revocable living trust. These kinds of trusts are not new to me. To put it simply, as long as you're alive, you have complete power over everything. However, your beneficiaries will receive the funds held in your trust upon your death, bypassing the cumbersome process of probate court. Not having to deal with public records or wait a year for court is a huge relief. What do you mean your loved ones simply receive your bequest? With ease. Your cryptocurrency assets can now remain hidden and confidential with its help. I find that appealing because, let's be honest, if XRP does what we all hope it will, I really don't want a slew of third cousins to suddenly appear out of nowhere. Another habit of the very rich is to hold on to assets that are rising in value as long as possible. They take out loans against it instead. It took a while to get your brain around this one, but trust me, it all makes perfect sense in the end. Consider Elon Musk as an example. If you recall, he was thinking about paying $40 billion to acquire Twitter. He didn't just sell his Tesla shares for a profit, though. Yes, he did take out loans secured by his stock. Why? Reason being, money borrowed does not constitute income. Therefore, borrowing against it does not incur any taxes, does it? Plus, he has not sold any of his shares. If it rises, he gains as well. He can repay the debt at a later date or, like most billionaires, keep refinancing. Also, crypto allows us to do this on a somewhat smaller scale. If you want to borrow dollars or stable coins against your XRP, Bitcoin, or any other cryptocurrency, there are services available that are trustworthy and safe. Your cryptocurrency will remain unaltered, and you can spend the funds anyhow you choose, including purchasing a vehicle, putting a down payment on a home, or investing elsewhere. Naturally, this time in the lending vault. You can receive your cryptocurrency back once you pay it back. Plus, you didn't lose out on any earnings or incur taxes when selling it, so it's a win-win situation. Of course, there is some danger involved. Adding more collateral would be necessary to avoid liquidation and the subsequent sale if the price of XRP were to plummet. Consequently, we need to exercise extreme caution if we decide to do it, isn't it? Assuming we follow through with it, it's a nifty method to get some cash out of your assets without having to sell all of your XRP. Here, leverage rather than liquidation is the playbook of the wealthy. This trip has also made me reconsider the security of my cryptocurrency holdings. When it comes to my cryptocurrency holdings, I continue to believe in keeping the keys in my own possession since I have always been more of a self-custody or bust sort of guy. You may find that the benefits of an insured third-party vault outweigh the risks at some point, especially if your assets are substantial. I thought Claver mentioned bankruptcy remote accounts and institutional custody. Your assets are protected from creditors in the event of the bankruptcy of an exchange or custodian company through these unique custodial arrangements. Imagine it as a service similar to a VIP vault, all right? Insurance coverage are also typically included with them. Even if I don't have nearly enough money to cover all of that just yet, it's still interesting to know that it exists. Big things like these would let corporations, businesses, or even whales sleep better at night. For the most robust kind of protection, a legal corporation is the way to go. If you're a US resident and want to keep cryptocurrency, Claver says you should do it in a Wyoming limited liability company. You might be wondering why Wyoming? Reason being, it provides charging order protection, which is a really useful feature. To put it simply, if an LLC owns your XRP and a person sues you personally, they can't simply seize your cryptocurrency from the LLC, can they? To receive distributions from the LLC, their best option is to obtain a court order. And you know what? The LLC is under no legal need to pay out any distributions. As a result, your creditors may wind up with zero while your XRP remains secure. To put it simply, it protects your cryptocurrency assets from legal action. Be warned, though, the LLC will only be effective if you keep it well maintained. In other words, you'll have to handle it like a real business, which involves the tedious tasks of maintaining records, such as meeting minutes, separate accounts, and documentation. Therefore, a court could claim, hey, this LLC is just an extension of you, and seize those assets if you neglect to complete any of those procedures. When executed well, though, it presents an insurmountable barrier. This similar method is already used by numerous crypto holders with high net worth. The last thing I want to do is amass a large portfolio and then have some random creditor or lawsuit try to take it all away. So I'm seriously considering setting something up for myself right now. The lesson is very obvious, even for us ordinary folks. I am currently taking precautions by setting up numerous exchange accounts as a backup because you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. Take this as a gentle reminder that during the last bullish run, we've seen major exchanges like FTX fall down or even freeze. However, I would want that not to cause us all to become terrified once more. Is that okay? Plus, I would prefer not to appear as the anxious Twitter user pleading for assistance due to my inability to access my funds. As a result, I've registered with multiple cryptocurrency exchanges. Of course, I've gone through all the necessary steps in advance, including doing the KYC and testing out modest trades. Therefore, I can jump over to either exchange B or C if exchange A is down. In the event that one exit is closed, it's similar to having an evacuation plan. Another exit is available to you. This is something that I think everyone should do. Even if you have no urgent plans to utilize them, it is still a good idea to choose a few trustworthy exchangers and be confirmed right away, because new signups are sluggish or even blocked when the market is chaotic, and withdrawals can also get backed up. Bring a backup plan or perhaps a third option. They should be prepared in advance of when you might require them. By the way, you can find all of my exchange links on my website. I'll provide a link to it in the description below. Those links on the website are affiliate links, so you can help support the channel without spending a dime on them. Now, I'd rather not be completely forthright about that. There is no additional charge for using those links. In any case, if you do wind up using them, the exchange essentially acts as a small token of appreciation, which in turn allows me to continue making these movies for you. Check out my website and all of those affiliate connections if you are interested in setting up exchanges. I personally utilize all of them. It would mean the world to me if you clicked on one of those links, which is why I'd like to take a moment to express my gratitude. Now, Kraken is one of the exchanges mentioned on my website and one that I've been using for some time. Actually, they contacted me directly, and I'll tell you what, they've put together a fantastic promotion only for XRP holders. It's an obvious plug, but it's a decent one. Yeah, I swear. For a limited time only, you can get $25 worth of XRP deposited into your Kraken account if you sign up for the platform using the link in the description below. This is an affiliate link, so using it won't cost you a dime, and then trade $100 worth of any cryptocurrency, not stablecoins, within 30 days of creating your account. I believe that's the essence of free XRP. Being a US regulated exchange, you will be required to undergo the standard Know Your Customer KYC identification verification process. Additionally, this promotion is only valid for one transaction per user. Consider it in this light. You can easily add $25 worth of XRP to your stack if you are planning to conduct a trade anyway. Simply review the terms and conditions listed in the explanation below. It contains a lot of information, such the fact that it is for new accounts. Naturally, you'll need to trade $100 worth of assets on spot, with the exception of stable coins. Get $25 worth of XRP free when you buy $100 worth of XRP. All the terms and restrictions are stated in the description below. However, please note that certain jurisdictions, including the state of New York, are not eligible. Therefore, feel free to look it over. It should be mentioned that it has no affiliation with YouTube or this channel. Kraken asked me to bring this to your attention, and I must say, I think it's a fantastic offer. Let me tell you something important. It might shock you while we're on the subject of terms and conditions. I am not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video should be taken as such. You run the risk of losing every cent you put into cryptocurrency because of how unpredictable they are. In any situation, it's wise to conduct your own research and get advice from an expert. After all, you should be aware that there are no guarantees in investing and that your investments are totally your responsibility. For your sole amusement and educational benefit, this channel, and YouTube disclaim any liability in the event of any damages. All right, so I did stumble into something pretty great in the crypto realm that I do have to share with you guys as I was learning how to fortify my crypto fortress. This concept, which is termed unity, is related to the idea of elevating cryptocurrency to a whole new level. Now, if you've been a long-time subscriber to the channel, you've definitely heard me talk about Unity nodes a lot. If not, let me give you the breakdown. This new project called Unity Nodes is attempting something incredibly creative, and that's why I'm really interested in it. Transform regular cell phones into nodes for a distributed telecoms network. At least it's currently in the calibration phase, and it's fascinating that a complete launch is anticipated to happen within the next few weeks. It was brought to your attention that this project exists anyhow. It's a partnership between World Mobile, with whom you may or may not be familiar, and Minutes Network, another new cryptocurrency firm that came out around a year ago. My take is that Unity is making an effort to unite the cryptocurrency and real-world infrastructure communities. Thus, ordinary folks like you and me may take part using a simple app on an unused phone, rather than large telecom firms being the only ones doing the network verification and monitoring. And you can earn cryptocurrency just for doing that. Now, I was interested enough to go out and get a Unity Node NFT. That NFT essentially granted me permission to join up to 200 separate devices to the network. Come on, I'm not going to be the one to set up 200 phones on the first day. My wife would, well, she would probably murder me if I did it. It would be fairly insane. Regardless, I'm going to conduct a short test with 10 phones to check how everything works in practice. It will be fascinating to observe how well this functions and how profitable it will be in the long run. As I mentioned, it is currently in that calibration period. We should have a full go live in the next few weeks. Assuming it lives up to the claims made on the website, I may think about expanding. Therefore, you may be asking, what the fuck is the incentive? Behind the scenes, the phones will be doing things like testing call routes and network quality, and you'll get cryptocurrency as a reward. Now we come to the exciting part. You may choose from a bunch of different cryptocurrencies to get paid. No special token is being minted for this purpose. No, you have a lot of options, including XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and ADA. And I'm choosing that for my rewards, I promise you. The reason for this is that I am already passionate about these assets, so why not make more of them, just like staking or mining, but with the telecom sector as your beneficiary? Listen, I want you to understand that I'm approaching this with an experimental mindset, okay? My strategy does not revolve around this. Basically, it's just an intriguing tactic that may develop with my plan. Unity nodes, however, have recently attracted considerable interest. Polkadot is their companion. I thought they were working with Shiba Inus. The Shibi token, too. All of these major shifts in this field have solid rationale, as you can see. Now, the telecom business is massive overall, and I think it's ready for a shakeup. There may be a significant opportunity here if Unity can decentralize a portion of that. You must maintain composure while beginning any new endeavor, but particularly one of this magnitude. There are certainly complex technological aspects to this, and if things continue the way they seem, there may be future regulatory obstacles to overcome. Therefore, if you are even somewhat curious, you should likely conduct your own study. You can see all the information and make all the calculations for yourself by clicking on the links I've provided in the explanation below to their Leap Paper and Rewards calculator. Imagining that I could earn Y per month by running X number of phones is actually pretty entertaining when I play about with the calculator. Again, I want to stress that this is not hype. It is just something I thought you might be interested in learning more about if you are looking for side hustle opportunities in the cryptocurrency market. Looking at the larger picture, we should be prepared not only for the next major price pump or news event, but also for the future of our cryptocurrency holdings and anything else that may come up in the future. I'm going to tell you the truth now. You agree that this entire trip served as a wake-up call? The old adage, don't invest more money than you can afford to lose, has always resonated with me. However, I wasn't exactly ensuring that you wouldn't lose what you can afford to lose, was I? Because of how well they complement one another. I'm modifying something, aren't I? Rather than being a short-term trader focused on the next 10 days, try to think like an investor with a 10, 20-year strategy. Weird, right? Now we're talking about XRP and crypto news alongside trusts, LLCs, and telecom networks. However, this is essentially the appearance of crypto space maturation, isn't it? Those of us who have been on this wild ride for a long time are also growing up with crypto. Consequently, you should be commended for sticking around. By the way, perhaps my narrative has touched you in some way. Crypto isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, is it? Perhaps you're considering starting a family, or you've been around for a while and realized that it is a novel asset class that is becoming more embedded in everyday life at a rate that regulations and individual practices are finding difficult to keep up with. The lesson here is to not waste time. I hope you feel the same way. Take precautions now before XRP's value skyrockets. It might be too late or too difficult to do by then. Whether it's as easy as opening a second exchange account or as complex as seeing a crypto-savvy attorney about forming an LLC or trust, you should begin laying the groundwork immediately. Reason being, guess what? Someday you'll be grateful to the people we have now. Now that I have a strategy for my assets and how to access them, I feel much more confident and, to be honest, a little relieved. By the way, I'm still confident in XRP's future, but I'm sick of treating it like a lottery ticket, you know? It's a financial commitment, and I intend to care for it and see it through its growth with the same diligence with which I would a home for my children. Please do me a favor and subscribe to my channel and our community if you liked this video and thought it was helpful or thought-provoking. Our educational Discord is available for free. You can find a link to our discussion, strategy sharing, and mutual aid thread in the description below. Now, I would love to hear your thoughts or stories about how you've managed to keep your cryptocurrency safe. Okay, well, that wraps up today's video. Put those sats on top of each other and hold on to your drops in case XRP happens. Of course, you can't win this game without thinking about offense and defense. Much obliged for your time, and I will, of course, see you in the subsequent one.